y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly and this is my booktube channel. If you're not new here, you may have noticed that my background has changed a little bit. We have been rearranging rooms in our house, trying to make it more efficient and spacious. So my books are in my bedroom now. So I've kind of got a different setup, but we're rolling with it because it works best with the other rooms in the house. And yeah, let's just jump into this video. I don't have coffee with me today, but I do have my water because I am here in Texas and it is 104 today, which is a little better than we've seen. We've seen 111, but it's still brutal. So anyway, as you may have guessed by the title of this video, this is a good old-fashioned book haul. So I will be sharing with you all of the books that I've acquired recently within the last few months or so. First up, I have 3 cozy mysteries to share with you. I recently picked these up because I've been wanting to read them. And the first one I have for you is Charms and Chocolate Chips by Bailey Cates. If you've been around my channel a little bit, you know I've been kind of working my way through the Magical Bakery Mystery series by Bailey Cates. And this is book number 3. So I've read books 1 and 2, and I'm anxious to get to book 3. The premise with this cozy mystery series is that you're following the main character who owns a bakery with her aunt and uncle, and this is in the first book and it's on the back of the first book, so I promise it's not a spoiler. It's not long before she finds out she comes from a long line of witches and she is in fact magical. Of course, with every cozy mystery, someone turns up dead. She has to go about being an amateur sleuth and figuring out who did it. So that's what happens basically in every book. Someone's always dead in each book and she goes around figuring it out. There's a lot of death in cozy mysteries. I've just really enjoyed the series so far and I'm anxious to get to book 3. Next up we have Apple Cider Slang by Julie Ann Lindsay. This one was popular last fall and Christmas, I believe, when cozy mysteries started really making their rounds on BookTube and Bookstagram, and everyone was reading this and I never got around to it, so I found it on Pango Books and decided to try and get to it maybe around the Christmas season. From what I know about this one, it's centered around this orchard, a family orchard, and apparently it's really struggling, and the main character and her grandmother are still trying to hold it together and run the place after her grandfather died. And as if things couldn't get worse, a dead body shows up at their orchard, and it's the body of a woman that did not get along well with her grandmother. So of course, they're looking at her grandmother as the primary suspect, and our amateur sleuth goes about trying to clear her grandmother's name. That's really all I know about this one, but it sounds like a great book to read during Christmas time. And the third cozy mystery I picked up was In the Company of Witches by Oralee Wallace. This one also made its rounds around BookTube and Bookstagram last fall. It was quite popular. Everybody seemed to love it, and I believe there's only 2 books out. The author released book 2 and then announced on her Instagram not too long ago that there probably will not be a book 3 due to complications with her publisher and things like that. So sadly, a beloved cozy mystery series ends at book 2, but I've heard it's really good anyway and that everyone enjoyed it, so I'm anxious to get to that one. Next up, I have a couple of books that I got for my birthday, and the first one is Finders Keepers by Stephen King. My mom got me this one for my birthday, and if you're familiar with my channel, you know I've been trying to get my hands on this one, so she pays attention and she knew that I really wanted this book. And I think I've mentioned that I really wanted to match the paperback cover with the other one that I have, but from all the extensive research and rabbit holes I have gone down, I don't think it exists. I don't think that they created a book 2 cover that is similar to the first one, which is just super annoying because all the hardbacks match, but the paperbacks do not match. But I don't care. I like this cover too. I think it's just as creepy and cool, and I'm sure the contents are amazing. It is book 2 in the Mr. Mercedes trilogy by Stephen King. If you have been around my channel for a minute, you know I'm trying to get through that trilogy before September. So hopefully I can get to this one quickly. The next book that I got for my birthday, I got from Danielle with Danielle's Books. So thank you so much, Danielle, because she gave me The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. This book has been on my wish list for a long time, and Danielle was so generous and so sweet and got it for me for my birthday. She says it is a perfect summer read and one of her absolute favorites. Essentially what I know just from glancing at the back of the book is that it takes place in the 1980s, and you're following the main character named Jake, who spends most of his time with his uncle Calvin, who is a kind but eccentric enthusiast of occult artifacts and conspiracy theories. The summer that Jake turns 12, he befriends a pair of siblings new to town, and so Calvin initiates them all into the Saturday Night Ghost Club. But as the summer goes on, what begins as a seemingly lighthearted project will uncover mysteries darker than any of its members, young or grown, had imagined. Back also says that this is an irresistible coming-of-age story about a group of misfit kids who spend an unforgettable summer investigating local ghost stories and urban legends. So, sounds perfect. Sounds right up my alley. It's not very big, so it should be pretty easy to breeze through. I love coming-of-age type of stories. I love ghost stories. I love 1980s and 1990s settings. This just sounds awesome, and I have no doubt Danielle is correct in that it's an awesome book. So thank you again, Danielle, and I cannot wait to get to this one. This next book was kind of a random pick that I found at the grocery store of all places, and it is called Armored by Mark Greaney, I think is how you say his name. It caught my attention because when I first saw the cover, it looked so much like the mountains of El Paso, Texas, where I grew up. It even has like the lit up highway that winds through the mountain, and so that's initially what just caught my eye, and then I read the back and thought, actually, that sounds pretty good. So your main character is named Josh Duffy, and he is a close protection agent, which basically just means a professional bodyguard. He's one of the world's elite operatives. At least he was until his last mission in Lebanon. Against all odds, he got out alive, but he did lose his lower left leg. So after that kind of injury, there wasn't a whole lot of work for him to do, so he ends up supporting his family by being a mall cop in Virginia. So he runs into one of his old friends who offers him a much better job. The UN is sending a peace mission into the Sierra Madre Mountains in Mexico. It's an area so dangerous that it's known as the Espinazo del Diablo, the devil's spine. It's a perfect match. The team protecting the negotiators needs one more man, and Josh needs the work. So basically, he's trying to do this job, and it says something about having to broker peace between homicidal drug cartels in the region. It sounds action-packed. It sounds super interesting. I have a feeling I'm gonna love it because, like I said, I grew up in El Paso, Texas, very familiar with the border life, the cartels in Mexico, all that goes on down there. So I have a feeling I will really like this one. Next up, I have a book that I got from Book of the Month. It was actually my Book of the Month pick for July, but it was not one of the July selections. I didn't really jive well with any of the selections they offered this month. So sometimes what they do is they'll put at the bottom, if you're not into this month's picks, you can either skip the month or you can choose one of these add-ons. And one of the add-ons was Upgrade by Blake Crouch. If you saw my July TBR, you know that Dark Matter is on my July TBR, and I actually just finished reading it not too long ago, so I really enjoyed it. That's all I'll say for now, and I really want to check out more of Blake Crouch's work. I don't know anything about this other than it's a Blake Crouch book, and I really want to check it out. Blake Crouch is known for his sci-fi kind of genre novels, and I'm pretty sure that this falls in that category as well. Dark Matter did for sure, and I'm pretty sure this one does as well. If you've read it, let me know if you enjoyed it. I know some of his books can be hit or miss. This next book I was really lucky to run across because I had just watched Nakia with Nakia's Hideaway. I had just watched her recent reads video, and she had said that this was her top book that she has recently read, her favorite book, and I came across it in the bookstore and it was 40% off, so I took it as a sign that it needed to come home with me. And that is I Will Find You by Harlan Coben. I've been wanting to read a Harlan Coben book for a long time. I think he's got another one called like The Boy in the Woods or something like that, but I've really been interested in his books. I just haven't picked one up. And if you're familiar with Nakia and her channel, that woman does not read bad books. She DNFs them them lickety-split if they are not her taste. So if she has read it and she considers it a top favorite, I know that I am probably going to like it. I've heard that Stephen King was one of Harlan Coben's mentors, which says a lot about his writing style and signals to me that I will probably really like this one. All I really know about this one is that you're following a father who years and years ago woke up and found out that his 3-year-old son had been murdered. However, there was some witness that said that they saw the father burying some bag in the woods. They dug up this bag and of course they find a body, I guess, and he ends up in prison for killing his son, but he swears up and down he did not do it. And then I think there's a part where someone he knows visits him in prison and shows him a photo, and in the photo is his son. He just is convinced that it is his son, who's I think like 8 years old now. He's been in prison for a while. And so he gets it in his head, well, I've got to get the heck out of here and find my son and clear my name. How all of that goes down, I have no idea, but Nakia said it's a wild ride. It reads like a movie. It is awesome. So I'm definitely excited to get to this one. The next book I picked up is called The Guide by Peter Heller. I think I've had this one on my wish list for a little while, but I don't recall seeing anybody talk about it. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure someone has read it, but so far I really haven't seen any reviews on this one. This takes place at Kingfisher Lodge, which is nestled in a canyon about 1.5 miles from a really pristine river, and it's known by the locals as Billionaire's Mile. The resort has boutique fishing at its finest. It is safe from the viruses that have plagued America for years, and it offers a respite for wealthy clients. Now it also promises a second chance for Jack, a return to normalcy after a young life filled with loss. When he's assigned to guide a well-known singer, his only job is to rig up her rod, carry her gear, and steer her to the best trout he can find. However, a human scream pierces the night, and Jack soon realizes that the fishing lodge might not be as idyllic as it seems. So, sounds kind of awesome. I love survival horror, survival thrillers, and this kind of sounds like it might be along that same vein. You're at like a really secluded cabin in the middle of nowhere, and it almost sounds post-apocalyptic because there's like these viruses that have been plaguing America for years, and I don't know, it sounds like a mix of things, but it sounds interesting. I love wilderness type of stories, and it sounds like maybe a whodunit. There's definitely a scream in the night and a mystery going on, and this guy's trying to figure it out, all the while being a fishing guide. I don't know. It caught my attention. I'm willing to read it and see what I think of it. So I'm excited to get to The Guide. And last but certainly not least, I picked up In Extremis by Lindsay Hilsum. This is a nonfiction book, and it is basically a biography on the life and death of the war correspondent Marie Colvin. I love stories like this where you get to read about real life badass people who have just broke barriers, done amazing things. From what I know about this particular journalist that the biography is on, she was the journalist that went into every war-torn area, all of the Middle Eastern combat zones, you name it. She put herself at risk for the news and for the story multiple times, and ultimately she was killed doing her job out in, oh gosh, I can't even remember what country she was in, but she just has this incredible story that I really want to read about. She has this amazing, adventurous life, and I mean, the woman manages to look amazing in an eye patch. I mean, if that's not enough to grab your attention, I don't know what is. I think it sounds great. I like to read nonfiction every now and then, especially true crime type of stuff, but a good biography I will definitely pick up as well. So can't wait to get to In Extremis. Well, that about wraps it up. Those are all the books that I have hauled recently within the last couple of months or so. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought. Spoiler free as always, or if you haven't read any of them, do any of them sound good to you? Do you have any of them on your TBR? I know I'm anxious to get to all of these, and until then, I will see y'all in my next video. Bye y'all.